Starlight Keep HFY presents Earth 101, How Not to Die on the Blue Marble. Chapter 6, The Paradox of Humanity. The ambient lighting in the lecture hall dimmed subtly as Seraphine Moonshadow waved her hand over the control orb. The holographic display shifted to a serene image of Earth suspended in the void. A jewel of blues and greens swirled with wisps of cloud. The room buzzed softly with the students' murmurs, a low hum of disbelief and intrigue. Sensing the growing restlessness, Seraphine decided it was time to reassert control. She straightened, her shimmering robes cascading like a waterfall of stardust, and tapped the crystalline lectern with a delicate yet commanding finger. "Settle down, please," she intoned, her voice carrying the calm authority that had quieted far more tumultuous assemblies. The sound resonated, and for a moment, even the holographic stars seemed to pause. The chatter ebbed, but a lingering whisper from the back caught her attention. Zarkon leaned over to Zalix, his scaled arms crossed in skepticism. "If humans are so formidable, why haven't they overrun the galaxy?" he muttered, not quite under his breath. Seraphine's eyes flickered with a hint of amusement. "An excellent question, Zarkon," she said smoothly, causing him to startle upright. "Care to share your thoughts with the class?" He hesitated, his scales flushing a muted teal, a draven sign of embarrassment. It doesn't make sense that such a dangerous species hasn't asserted dominance." A ripple of agreement coursed through the room. The Ayako's hues shifted to a contemplative mauve, and Lilia's feathers ruffled with curiosity. Seraphine clasped her hands, her gaze sweeping over the attentive faces. "I'm glad this topic has piqued your interest," she began. "It touches on the very essence of humanity's paradox." She gestured, and the holographic display transformed to show images of humans laughing, embracing, collaborating with various alien species. A stark contrast to earlier depictions of their perilous exploits. "The reason humans haven't taken over the Confederation," Seraphine continued, "is deceptively simple, yet profoundly significant. They genuinely seek companionship. For reasons that may elude us, they have an inherent desire to connect and cooperate." The students exchanged skeptical glances. A brave Ayako raised his translucent hand, the light fracturing through it like a prism. "But Ambassador," he interjected, "how can we trust a species capable of such extremes? Isn't their friendliness a facade?" Seraphine smiled gently. "It's natural to question motives, especially when faced with contradictions. However, humans have a saying, give and take. They believe in mutual benefit and the strength of alliances." Zarkon frowned, his ridges creasing. "But isn't that just strategic? A means to an end?" "Sometimes," Seraphine acknowledged, "but more often it's a genuine extension of their social nature. Humans are, at their core, communal beings. Their survival has long depended on forming bonds and working together." She advanced the display to show historical moments, humans joining forces to overcome natural disasters, extending aid to other species, establishing intergalactic treaties. "Despite their capabilities as predators," she said, "they choose cooperation over conquest. Their strength lies not just in physical endurance or ingenuity, but in their capacity for empathy and forming connections." A Quillan student, Kodian, tentacles swaying thoughtfully, asked, "But what ensures they won't shift from allies to adversaries?" "An insightful question," Seraphine replied. "The same traits that make them formidable also instill in them a sense of responsibility. They are keenly aware of the consequences of their actions. Though not always perfectly, they strive for balance." Lilia fluttered her wings. Perhaps their unpredictability is what makes them fascinating, and admittedly a bit frightening. "Indeed," Seraphine agreed. "It's this duality that we must understand and respect." The room fell into a contemplative silence. Then, from the middle rows, Zalix spoke up, his crystalline horns glinting. "Ambassador, could you share an instance where humanity's choice for peace over power impacted the Confederation?" Seraphine's eyes softened. "Certainly. During the Zilnath-Hukt conflict, humans were approached by both sides to lend their military support. Instead of choosing a side or exploiting the situation, they facilitated dialogue, ultimately helping to broker a peace agreement. The Ayako's colors shifted to a respectful azure, so they used their influence for harmony. Precisely, Seraphine affirmed. Their actions prevented a war that could have devastated multiple systems. Zarkon uncrossed his arms, his posture relaxing. Perhaps I've misjudged them. Seraphine met his gaze. It's through open dialogue like this that we overcome misconceptions. Zarkon chanted, Vakthor Zilnathar, Huktka Drathok. Victory to the Zilnath. The Hukt is ours. Seraphine replied, Yes, it might have been if the humans hadn't arrived in time. Just then, a disruptive chime echoed. A malfunctioning holographic emitter sputtered, projecting random bursts of light. The students stirred, whispers threatening to erupt into chaos. Seraphine's fronds quivered ever so slightly, a sign of mild irritation. She raised a hand, and with a deft twist of her fingers, manipulated the control orb to stabilize the projection. The lights dimmed back to normal, and order was restored. Now, she said firmly, her voice cutting through the lingering murmurs, let's maintain our focus. The student straightened, duly chastised yet impressed by her seamless handling of the situation. As we conclude, Seraphine continued, remember that humanity's paradox is a reminder of the complexities within all species. Strength and vulnerability, aggression and compassion, they are not mutually exclusive. She allowed a moment for her words to settle. For your assignment, she added, reflect on how embracing such dualities can lead to greater understanding and cooperation within the Confederation. The dismissal chime sounded, and the students began to gather their belongings. As the room emptied, Quillen approached the lectern. Ambassador, do you think it's possible for us to form genuine friendships with humans? Seraphine smiled warmly. I believe it's not only possible, but essential for our shared future. He nodded, tentacles swaying with newfound optimism. Thank you. After he departed, Zarkon lingered at the doorway. Ambassador, he called softly. Yes, Zarkon? He hesitated. I appreciate your patience. Your insights have given me much to consider. She inclined her head. I'm glad to hear it. Remember, understanding is the first step toward unity. He offered a tentative smile before exiting. Left alone, Seraphine gazed once more at the image of Earth, a world of contradictions and possibilities. Perhaps, she mused quietly, the greatest strength lies in embracing complexity.